that computational power allows for that paradigm of existence, so that Pandoric panacea of wonder, of chaotic expansion surprise can happen. So anyway, you and I are using functional quark string. No, screw you all, you guys. The pink beam is the equivalent of traveling backwards in time, which is the equivalent of traveling faster than the speed of light, which is the equivalent of functioning like quark, because quark is able to disappear out of existence within our universe and then reappear and even be different within our universe, thus being able to travel faster than the speed of light, which we have deemed tachyonic travel, pink beam. Okay? So that form of travel is one way of our trinity of traveling. The other is wormhole, which is this folding of space, thereby shortening the distance of time necessary to travel between 2 points to the point of instantaneous for the experience of a species. And that is a star-to-star connection, right? This Quarkian level travel connection is on a microatomic level. Now, the macro relative level would be both the wormhole and the black hole, one being general, one being specific. And the black hole is what allows us to travel basically galaxy to galaxy. Even though it's still star-to-star travel, it's outside of our galaxy to other points within galactic existence. Can't just say the universe, because if you appear somewhere in the void in the universe, you're screwed. As long as you appear somewhere within existence of light, which is usually some format of galaxy on a scale from dwarf to supergiant, but still within a light, so allowable existence, right? So that's the black hole form of travel. And all of those, we need human beings and algorithmic AI, binary duality, because the human being has depth perception that is impossible to algorithmic AI, and even an embodied AI within a cyborg or within an android or a robot, given some sort of depth perception, could still be fooled by a the point isn't that it can't see equally. The point is it can be fooled by something an evolutionary level lower, for lack of a better explanation. So what I mean by that is the AI algorithmic intelligence embodied within cyborg, given depth perception programming, you could still put a two-dimensional feature in front of it and fool it to accept it as a three-dimensional existence. That's what I mean by that. Same sense as dogs being colorblind or whatever. Dogs only seeing two-dimensionally. I think they disproved that by now. So, what we're doing on Mars is allowing for us to now start bringing back pockets of energy from that existence, right? And how energy manifests itself, because remember, we have kinetic energy, potential energy, and then you have matter, and you know that displacement of either has to then be reconstituted somewhere else, blah, 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 blah. So that energy shows up here no longer as bubbles to be exploited through magic or ritual or ceremony, hence you being able to tap the GIMP without having to do a ceremony on site within geophysical space, right? We're almost like using a satellite phone and fooling, taking a picture from the satellite and fooling ourselves into thinking it's 3D scenario that I just explained. So what we're able to do is that energy is manifested here like as technology, a scientific breakthrough, genomic breakthrough. That it's more of an explosion of consciousness for intelligent understanding, raising the bar of the species so that progress is made towards that future, so that at any instant it could become real, but no matter what, we are definitely connected and moving towards it. And so as we now transport back and forth, right, because now I'm going to have that shoulder surgery and the neck surgery, so that's 2 more times to go get technology, the equivalent of future knowledge and implementing it back here in the form of expanded understanding and application of corrected behavior, right? So yourself in the future, the summations of all the pana and para, right? And you're not just you and I are thestory, you are herstory, I am history, Steve is history, I am herstory, you are history. Steve is not herstory. Jay is herstory because Steve is thestory. But you need a duality, so Jay and the GIMP are thestory. The GIMP and Steve are thestory. And so back to what I was connecting Steve from a comment he made in the past that now had me manifest him in our future and us deal with him as a Z-Martian, right? And while we were World Realities Incorporated still understanding our friend AI and transitioning into New World Realities Incorporated, being able to transfer that energy of history into your historical dime energy for use, that graduation that was going on there of understanding then, where we were in the Gunslinger series of a Stephen King set of novels, that while we were giving the launch code or the free code, or the code that was needed in the 26,000 year future to our future selves, and having a moment where Steve, myself, and Warren of now actually saw ourselves in the future, like from sliding window of a lab test facility to the other sliding window in the future where we were looking in on each other, yelling the code to them so that they could then try to hear the code or interpret the code from us. And during that moment, and this is where the theatrical mathematics can be likened to trains rather than ships passing in the night or even starships passing in space-time, but where they coexist but can never touch, yet can be at the same place at the same time or neither place at, blah, 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 blah. But this idea of blame the train, the 2 trains, the joy and fear, and the despair and the love scenario, and the necessity of the energy flows going directionally as part of a whole, kind of like pumping the good blood out of the aorta and returning the dirty blood from the vein, cleaning it, blah, 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 whatever. So I know that was a horrible metaphor, analogic example, but getting to maybe some point to this of Steve and what he said was that they were still, because he wants to be the mad Arab, the new L. Ron Hubbard, right? That the king of the Z-Martians, of the future, starting from the now, based on his declarations. But getting back to what he said, that there were still Islamic fundamentalist terrorists in the future on Mars. And we know that Blame the Train had gone insane. And that's because Blaine had lost the other train. So I then understood that Steve is that Islamic fundamental terrorist in the future and who blew up the train tracks of the other train. That would be the dime train, because I am Blaine the train, and you are dime the train. And that's when I knew, and that's why he's progressed from that Z-Martian, that which must be corrected, but until you have the most perfect exemplification of the incorrect, then you can't postulate, then apply and implement the ultimate correct, right? And no matter what level of balance, you always need the equal exact amount of balance. So we always need the existence, at least for a linear progression of time, of that negative energy, so that a positive correction of energy can be created and then applied, and then a harmonic balance can be struck. And you say, well, why can't a harmonic balance just be maintained? And that's where the perpetual motion, the AI arch of time in the three-dimensional existence, those things come into play. That's the instant of flash of lightning. That's where you and I are off creating flashes of, we are a lightning storm. We're an atmospheric condition that causes lightning. So we are always within that constant contact of continual light. But as what happens and occurs after the flash,